1 week season.
What's up, OWS fam? Back with another best ball video. So we are getting close to the start of the season, which is exciting. Underdog has closed their fast drafts, or sorry, they've closed their slow drafts. No more slow drafts are starting at this point, and their slow draft clock is down to 1 hour. Drafters actually filled their contest filled early. DraftKings still has stuff. Underdog still has stuff, right? There's still a bunch of spots open on Underdog's tournaments, as you can see here. So the Dinger is 73.7% filled. Their higher dollar one is only 41.5% filled. So this is like, I've maxed this. I don't know if it'll overlay. It's not a big tournament, right? So like there's only a few thousand entrants. And so you might see people rush to jump into this one as we get closer to the start of the season. But like, because it's only 20 entry max, maybe it doesn't fill. So that's an opportunity. Their single entry is only 720 entrants. This one will probably fill just because it doesn't take that many people. But like, we might get a little overlay on Underdog with this, 41%, 73.7% in the big tournament, which has 111K entries. So it's exciting. Kind of cool to get overlay, right? Free money is good. So we are going to start here. We started with the second pick. I just let it auto draft Aaron Judge. As I mentioned before in these videos, right? I'm usually fine just going with ADP early on. I'm going to see if we'll see how long it takes. I don't want to make this video super long, but I'm going to try to do 2 at once, and we'll see if we can do that. Only 4 more people to fill this one. So I just think it's more fun to have more drafting to talk about, right? More drafting to talk about is fun. So we'll see how that goes. If that fills quickly enough, I'm optimistic it will. And we'll get going. So this one, I got Judge. And so remember what I like to do here, right? See where my next pick is, pick 23 and 26. So let's get a sense of what's going to be there. And if we get lucky, we might get one of these guys slipping, like an Olsen or a Merrill. I'm kind of a little lowish on Rooker, but I don't really have much. So, he's a possibility, but kind of like this tier here. So if we're looking to start building stacks, right, there's no Yankee you'd take at this point. There's no other Yankee that I think fits. The next Yankee is Jazz, who is, ADP 45. So maybe Jazz, Bellinger come around in rounds 4 and 5. They'd certainly be priorities for me if they're there. But I can also look to what I might get in the early mid-20s. And so like it's possible that we might see something like a Braves possible stack if Olsen slips a little bit. Ozuna's probably going to be there. Riley, I could do like if I'm willing to draft them a little early, I could do Ozuna Riley. I could possibly do something like Freeman Teoscar, go Dodgers. So there's a couple different stacking options. I'm not a huge fan of the Freeman Teoscar because you've already missed Mookie Betts and you've missed Shohei Ohtani, obviously. So like it's viable for sure, but I personally don't like the mini Dodger stacks because also the later picks for the Dodgers, like it's a team that thins out really quickly, right? You've got the big 4 guys, and you've got like Muncy, Conforto, who's a decent chance he's in a platoon, Edman, Will Smith is a catcher. Like a lot of these other guys have some platoon risk to them. So I like Muncy, but other than that, that's just kind of thin late. So it's just not a lot of stackability if you go Dodgers. The Yankees have some depth, right? Because with the Yankees, you've got some early picks, a mid-round pick, some later picks. No real like super late round flyer options on the Yankees, I don't think. But you've got some depth of the possible Yankee stack. Let's see, we're still waiting on 4 people here. Hurry up. And we're 4 picks away here. Let's see, Lindor just went. I have almost no Acuna. Just like that season, like what looks like the outlier here? Like Acuna is a supremely talented player. But at this ADP, it feels like there's more risk than reward to me personally. I don't blame people who want to take Acuna. I think He's a better pick on Underdog with its playoff format than he is on Drafters with the cumulative season-long scoring. But I just feel more risk and reward personally. So when with a second or early third ADP. So there goes Olsen. I was really hoping for Olsen. So I know I don't want Scanes because I don't really draft pitchers this early. I know I don't want Acuna. So I could do Freeman or I could do Ozuna. And I don't have to go for the stack, right? I could just go an individual player. But what I think I'm going to go for, I think I'm going to do Atlanta. Because if you look at Atlanta, I can get Riley coming back almost for sure. Let's see if I do. Because that would upend my plans if this guy takes Riley. But he doesn't. So I'm going to get Riley. Excuse me, gosh. So now I have Riley. And then if I look at the Yankee stack, so there's 45, 40, 49 for ADPs, 71. And then I go look at the Braves, and I've got some ADPs. Harris is probably not going to be there. Profar kind of overlaps with Jason Dominguez. Albies, though, is sort of in this nice spot, separate a little bit from the other guys. It's like there's a bit of like what's the term for opposite of overlap? Bit of separation between where these teams commonly stack, where the stacking partners are commonly picked. And I think that like I try to look for that a little bit, especially early on. I want to be able to figure out how to stack teams in ways that I'm not having to choose between I can build this stack or that stack. And you're always going to have some of that, right? I'm going to have some of that with Profar versus Dominguez, and I might not get either of them, right? But it also gives me more chances of getting someone that stacks. And I mean, it's nice to start out, to me, with two of the better offenses in baseball. Okay, this one should kick off in just a moment here. We will have two drafts going. Pick 5. Cool. Pick 5, you can see my 5th ranked guy is Kyle Tucker. So 5th pick is kind of weird. Sorry, 5th pick is a little weird. 5th pick, 6th pick, because you have what I think of as the 4 big guys: Ohtani, Judge, Soto, Witt. They are the clear top 4 picks, and then you kind of drop down a tier. And so if you look at Underdog's projections, they have some really aggressive projections on Jose Ramirez and Ellie De La Cruz. Maybe you buy it, maybe you don't. Kyle Tucker is a really strong pick there. I haven't had of ADP, but like, since you're dropping down a tier and this is where I start to get away from just following ADP, generally speaking. But what that's also led me to is to how I have a whole lot of Kyle Tucker and a whole lot of Fernando Tatis as a result of this being the spot where I kind of get away from ADP. And so what I end up often doing is I will sort of intentionally overdraft a player who I'm a little lower on. Like, this is where I might go Ellie De La Cruz here, because with his ADP and with my ranking, if I don't overdraft him from time to time, I'm never going to get any. And he's a riskier pick than the big 4, but I think he has a similar ceiling to them if everything goes right for him. So, I want to. He's not a guy I want to fade entirely. He's not a guy I'm comfortable having none of, which is what I'd get if I just followed the rankings. So it's a spot where I might just go away from the rankings, and I think I will. I think I'm going to go away from the rankings here. I just draft Ellie to make sure I get some. I think I've got like 5 or 6% Ellie, and you normally have about 8% on average of every player, 8.3. So I want to make sure I have some Ellie. I'm okay being underweight the field a little bit, but I don't want to have I don't want to have none. So we'll start this off with the Reds. We'll start this off with an infielder, and then if we go look at where we come back here, pick 20 is my next pick. And pick 20 looks like, you've got like Lindor, Scanes, Acuna, Olsen, Merrill, that tier. And, I could go another infielder. I tend to shy away a little bit from double infielder starts. I have a few, but like in the elite infield tier does thin out, but the elite outfield tier thins out faster. And there's kind of this like mid-round clump of outfielders where you can get some like good ones. But like after that, outfield gets really thin, whereas there's still a lot of viable infielders. So I tend to shy away from going infield, or at least I never go 3 infielder start. Okay, we're coming back here on this draft. So we got pick 47, and let's see where we are. Oh, well, someone drafted Jazz early. That is a shame. That's okay. I can get Cody. So I'm happy getting Cody Bellinger. So I have two Braves, 2 Yankees. And now there's a pretty obvious pick, right? I have 3 outfielders, 1 infielder. I'm already over the field in Ozzy Albies. He fits my stack. He fits my Brave stack. He is the most obvious pick in the world to pick there, right? So now I'm at 3 Braves, 2 Yankees. Cool. I'm feeling pretty good about this start. I like that I have some strong correlation in the early going. And let's come back here and see. Jackson Merrill is a guy I'm kind of even on the field with, but like because there's other guys around that I'm a little over the field on who are ranked near him. I tend to I have not a lot of him, so I kind of want to. Been kind of wanting to try and prioritize Jackson Merrill when he falls to me in some recent drafts, just to add to my exposure there. And as I get farther into draft season, that's kind of like how I think about things. I think about like, where am I over the field? Where am I below the field? And do I feel comfortable with this level of exposure? Is there a player I want to add a little bit to, or a player that I really like, but I just have a lot of exposure to now, and I want to kind of pump the brakes on a little bit. So like some of my favorite pitchers are guys that I have 25, 30, 40% exposure to right now. And that's just a lot. It's a lot for a pitcher. They get hurt all the time, right? How much of your season do you want to have resting on, one player's arm holding up for the entire time? Who do you take here, friend? You take Lindor, right? You gotta take Lindor there. He times out. He times out and takes Lindor. So the two choices for me here would be Olsen or Merrill. I've already got a Brave stack going in the other draft, and I already got an infielder. So let's go with Jackson Merrill. There goes Olsen. 7 picks away means I'm sort of here. Langford. I was getting a really nice discount on Langford's ADP when he had a minor oblique injury, but that has largely corrected now, and he's back to being drafted around where he should be. That discount's gone. Let's see, I have 7 picks. So I'm what pick number am I? He's not going to make it back. I'm pick number 29. So Langford's probably not making it. Harper might. Teoscar might. Alonso, Riley, Santander, Wood. Those are the kind of guys I'm looking at for my next pick. Let's take a look at the other draft real quick. I have pick 71 coming up. And so if we look at pick 71, we've got Dominguez and Profar like right there. So, that's a possibility. I will not see. I have 71, and then I get 74. So ideally, in my ideal world, what will happen here is I will get one of Dominguez or Profar, and then I will get CJ Abrams coming. Hopefully, he makes it back, and I get him coming back around the other way. Or Marcus Semien. He sometimes makes it that far. But I like Abrams, and I know that it's a weird spot. Like, I have Adames ranked a little more highly than Abrams, and this may just be personal bias, but like I feel like the math says Adames. My heart says Abrams, which is probably not a good way to draft, to be honest with you. But like, I don't know. I've got my favorite players. I'm sure all you guys do too. Okay, let's just go Teoscar, knowing I won't be stacking him. He'll be a solo guy, and that's fine. It's fine to have some solo players. It's even fine to have some solo players early on that aren't stacked. You'll probably not get stacked unless I happen to land like Muncy later or something, or Edmund. So what I know about this team is the Padres stacking they're hard to stack, right? They've got like 3 high tier hitters up here. Arias' ADP has finally fallen to the point where I had him ranked, and where I kind of feel comfortable taking him, but he's not an exciting pick. I don't know how I have Bogaerts ranked ahead of his ADP. His ADP must have fallen a lot because I have no Xander Bogaerts. I don't think I've drafted him once, and his ADP must have fallen if my ranking's now ahead of his. Jake Cronenworth, like there's a couple late Padres, but like really, if you're going for Padres, you kind of need to get one of these guys or 2 of those guys to make a stack. Okay, let's see. Profar went. Dominguez is still there. Don't take Dominguez. You have 4 outfielders. You don't need Dominguez. This guy shouldn't take Dominguez. Yeah, it'd be a bad pick. Okay, we're gonna take Dominguez. So now we're at 3-3. 3 Yankees, 3 Braves. This is a nicely balanced and stacked team. Now we also know that we're kind of off of stacking for a while on this team. The Braves stack is done, unless I want to get like, I don't know, Brian De La Cruz at the end of the draft. The Yankee stack is done for now, right? Goldschmidt and Volpe come up in a couple more rounds. And what's nice is the other guys that come up are both infielders, and I'm currently outfield heavy. So in the next couple of rounds, I'm looking for individual picks, guys who I'm not worried about stacking, or who I maybe get like a one friend to stack with later, but guys who aren't like part of my core stacks right now. I need infield, and this is also where I want to start getting pitching. And I also know that when I draft Yankees teams, if you look at Yankees, you see Goldschmidt and Volpe. They're kind of like in this spot where I'm really commonly drafting pitchers. It's like Goldschmidt 117, Volpe 138. Okay, let's go Adames this time instead of I have a lot of Abrams, so let's go Adames. Pick 117 and pick 138 for Volpe. So pick 117. I've got guys like Bailey Ober, who I really like. You can see I had Bryce Miller, Tanner Bibby, Sonny Gray. Like, there's a lot of pitchers in this spot who I commonly draft. Go down to like the 130s where Volpe goes. I like Joe Ryan, Seth Lugo, Jack Flaherty, Justin Steele, Kodai Senga. Like, there's a lot. Like, this is commonly that range where Volpe and Goldschmidt go is commonly where I get a lot of my pitchers from. And so if I'm going to try to draft Goldschmidt and or Volpe, that tells me that I need to think about pitching a little bit differently in this draft, which I'm okay with, right? Is this something to think about? Just part of it just goes into the, how we play this out, how we play this draft. Okay, here, nothing to stack. I mean, did Manny go? Manny went a little early. Isn't his ADP like 45? 44.5. I was hoping Manny Machado would make it back to me, and he didn't. That's okay. So these two guys are likely to be unstacked. Now I have to start thinking like, okay, where do I find some correlation outside of the Reds? The Reds are fine. The Reds are a team that's fairly easy to correlate. But where do I find something besides just Reds? And so Yankees, Rangers, they're pretty easy to correlate. I'm going to go, sorry, I'm running out of time here. I'm going to go, where's here? I'm running out of time there, so I just wanted to pick quickly. But I was looking at teams that are easy to correlate. The Tigers are actually fairly easy to correlate with some stuff late in the draft. The problem is they're like the guys I like are mostly, Kerry Carpenter's good, Parker Meadows. It's got a little bit of positive news. It seems like he's not going to miss a ton of time with that nerve issue he had. But like most of the guys I like there are outfielders on the Tigers. And I kind of wanted an infielder here because if I went Riley Green, I'd then have 3 outfielders, 1 infielder, and then I'd be looking at more outfielders later if I want to stack Tigers. Excuse me. Rangers, I can look to like Semien, Berger, Peterson, Carter, and Jung. There's a lot of options there. And the next couple of guys you consider stacking with are with infielders, which fits what I need. Okay, this is awkward. Both drafts are 5 picks away. Let's see if we can figure out who we want next. Pick 53 is next for me. So again, we're looking at I could have done Jazz and then hope to get Cody Bellinger coming back the other way. Randy Arozarena is a guy who I don't have. Like, what I start to look for also is where guys I don't have a ton of, who I might just like to add to my exposures of. Like when I need a pick that doesn't where I don't have a correlation to play into, and I'm sort of just taking a one-off guy that I might correlate later, but I'm not trying to build an existing stack. That's when it's to me a smart chance to build to get some exposure to build my exposure of guys I don't have a lot of. Right, it's like that's where I might draft a Cruz or an Arozarena. Okay, that draft will wait for a second. This draft, we're getting to pick 95, and we know, as I mentioned, that I need some pitching. Wellenbach went. That's a shame. Logan Webb went early. I wanted Webb. Wow, Webb went. For some reason, I thought Webb's ADP has been climbing, I guess. Okay, So we are at pick. It's really hard not to take Spencer Steer here. It's really hard not to click Spencer Steer. Okay, we're not going to click Spencer Steer. We are going to click Shota Imanaga. Then we come here and we know I already knew who I wanted. Arozarena, easy click. So we got Imanaga. I knew I wanted a pitcher. I knew I wanted to start pitching a little bit early because a lot of the pitchers I commonly target are going to be in rounds where I'm going to be going after more hitters, more infielders. Now the question is, so at Naylor, he was the only guy I was thinking about. Let's see. It's probably, let's just go. Again, this is how I'm thinking about spreading, risk around. But I just have a lot of Freddie Peralta. I'm going to go Hunter Brown. Is there weird news? Why is Steer still sitting there? Man. One thing I have learned is it'd be really easy to look at Spencer Steer and say, wow, that's great value compared to his ADP. And I like Spencer Steer. I think he's a good player. Assuming that's a fair ranking, assuming the ranking is right, it'd be really tempting to pick him here. But the problem is that's just not what this team needs. And it's sort of like if you're doing an auction draft for a season-long fantasy league, you want to be careful with price enforcing and being well, I'm going to bid on that guy because I can't let him have that guy that cheap. And that's how you end up with a team that, that you accidentally get some guys that you didn't really want because you were trying to price enforce. And you get guys that you don't fit what your team needs and don't fit what you actually wanted. You were trying to make another guy bid up a little bit. And it's sort of similar here, right? Spencer Steer is a great player. And in a vacuum, I think that's a great value for Spencer Steer. But you need to make picks that fit what your team needs. And my team didn't need another infielder inside the top 100 picks. Sorry, another outfielder. Inside the top 100 picks, right? I generally don't want 5 outfielders in the top 100 picks when I can only use at most 4 outfielder scores in a week, and most commonly 3, because generally speaking, remember, infielders tend to score more for a similar ADP. You're generally going to have 4 infield scores and 3 outfield scores that you're being used most weeks. So even though Steer was a great value, he just didn't fit what I needed for my team with that pick. And what your team needs is more important than, an ADP value. So my next picks are 119 and 122. Sorry, let me go back to this draft. I have 2 picks away. Let's look at what this draft is doing. Okay, we got Arozarena coming up pick 68, and Ozzie Albies is still sitting there. That's kind of wild. This guy is going to take Ozzie Albies because he needs an infielder. Why would he not take the best infielder on the board? This got 5 outfielders to start. That's a risky trick. Well, who might make it back? Corbin Burns a bit past ADP. This guy took Blake's. What a strange draft pick. Okay. I mean, I'll take Albies even though unstacked if he's available because I have him ranked as the 40th player. This is where I'm getting oh God, sometimes Underdog does this. Come on. I don't know why Underdog isn't doing this for me lately. Albies. Right. Okay. This is where I got draft value. So think about the Steer situation in this draft, right? Steer was available, pick pick 98. I could have gotten Steer and I had ranked at 71. Similarly, Albies, I got pick, 68. I'm ranked at 40 and he was 12 picks past ADP, full round past ADP. But so why did I take Albies, but I didn't want to take Steer? And the answer is Albies fits what this team wants more than Steer did. Steer would have been the 5th outfielder on a team that didn't need a 5th outfielder at that point in the draft. Albies is the 3rd infielder on a team that needed a 3rd infielder, or at least, wanted a 3rd infielder at this point in the draft. Remember, my favorite start, my favorite start overall is 4 infield, 3 outfield in the first 7 rounds. Second favorite start is 1 pitcher, 3 infield, 3 outfield. So I generally want 3 infielders in the first 7 rounds, and I didn't have 3 yet. So team wanted an infielder. So getting great value on an infielder I really like is it fits this team's needs as well as being great value, whereas Steer did not fit the other team's needs. Let's look at what's happening here. Pick 77 coming up. I'm going to have both my drafts come up at the same time again. So I want to be ready. I want a fourth infielder would be good. So I'm going to click here. Matt McLain is a player I am super high on, and I know so I pick 77, and then I have pick 92. McLain's ADP has been shooting up. He may or may not be there at pick 92. I will take Abrams if Abrams is there, but otherwise I think I'm taking McLain ahead of ADP because he fits the stack, and I want to build a red stack in this one. Okay, back to this roster. Sorry if it's big. I'm sorry if it's being like too much bouncing back and forth. But we know, let's see, we know pitching, right? Because Goldschmidt did not make it, unfortunately. Goldschmidt went a little ahead of ADP at pick 109. So Goldie didn't make it to me. That's okay. I can pick, let's see, this guy has 3 pitchers, 2 infielders. He's going to take an infielder. I'm going to take Ezekiel Tovar here. I'm going to take, okay, I missed the pick there. I got Abrams. That's not the end of the world. It's fine. I love Abrams. That was a tough call if I wanted to overdraft McLain by like an entire round. I love Matt McLain though. It's possible drafting Matt McLain there was not the right choice, even though I really like him and wanted a red stack. But like an entire round is a lot to pay. Let's get through this next pick. So I got Tovar. Ah, man, I don't want to get Volpe that early. That's really early. This like the draft picks where they're playing out, like Volpe's, ADP 138. I pick 143. Like I might just be done with the Yankee stack at this point. I don't want to draft Volpe over an entire round early when I have pitchers I love right here. As long as I can get Miller, would be the guy I want here. If I can't get Miller, maybe I'll get Volpe. And I can get Miller. Cool. Okay. All right. So here I took Ezekiel Tovar. And so Goldschmidt was gone. With Goldschmidt gone, not only was he himself gone, but my hope to get 2 more infielders that stacked with the players I already have was gone. Right? Because the giant stack is like Adames, Chapman, and Ramos, and that's it. So I knew I couldn't stack. I knew I wasn't going to get 2 more infielders that were Braves or Yankees. And so my choice was I could overdraft Volt by a lot, which I decided not to do. Or I could think about what other stack could I get. And I know that I like Michael Toglia, who's sitting here in the middle of draft, in kind of the middle rounds, and he's if Volpe gets taken, there's a very good chance that Toglia is still there. And so what I'm looking at is hopefully getting one of either Volpe or Toglia next round. That's my hope for this draft. And so I kind of set myself up by getting Tovar to take Volpe next round if he's there, or take Toglia. And there's some other Rockies that I think you can get. Nolan Jones. You can get, where is he? Where'd he go? Ryan McMahon is down here somewhere. You can get, I think I saw something about Thairo Estrada hurting himself. Oh, cool. Fractured wrist 3 hours ago. Great. That sucks. He was an interesting late round pick. But anyway, there's some Rocky stackability. Wow, Volpe went really early. Okay, this guy's shit. That's interesting. I thought it might have been the same guy who drafted Goldschmidt so early, and it's not. Anyway, that guy took Volpe really early. Bummer. It's possible this guy, I always wonder when I see people take guys that I really like really early. I'm always like, is it someone using my rankings? Because it's possible it is. Okay, McLain. 1 pick away. McLain is still there. Oh, please, please, please. Give me Matt McLain. There's a good chance this guy takes him. He could use an infielder. This guy should take an infielder right here. So he should take Naylor or McLain. That would be the right pick for him. He should take Naylor because he has Carroll. That would be the smarter pick. We'll see if he does. He picks. He got Naylor. He gets Naylor. Cool. Matt McLain. It worked. Okay. This draft is now a little hitter heavy. Normally, I probably would have taken a pitcher there after 7 hitters. But because Matt McLain is like the perfect hitter that fit my roster that I want, and just a guy I really like, I am totally fine being a little hitter heavy right now. So infield is basically done. I'll get a couple of late round infielders to flesh this out. I could look at someone like a Nate Lowe or a Luis Garcia to stack with CJ Abrams. I could look at somebody like, maybe Max Muncy, maybe. I could look at someone like a Christian Encarnacion Strand or Gavin Lux to join my red stack. I know that I want to build the red stack. I know that somewhere in the mid hundreds, wrong guy. I don't know why I moused over Tyler O'Neill. I want to get TJ Friedel somewhere in the mid hundreds because I need outfield and because I need reds. So like TJ Friedel just absolutely fits me. And then otherwise I need to get some pitching because I have 0. This draft is humming along nicely with my Braves and Yankees. And so remember, I like to have 9 or 10 correlated hitters. Generally, that's my target. I've got 6. And as soon as I draft another Rocky, I will have 8. So pretty correlated on this roster so far. I'm feeling pretty good about the correlation here. Okay. So there's a part of me that is tempted to take like Jorge Soler if he's there because I need an outfielder. But I can't. I cannot have 9 hitters without a pitcher. Like I am comfortable waiting on pitching. I am not that comfortable waiting on that much pitching. That is a lot of pitching to wait on. So I know I'm probably going to go pitcher for a couple rounds. I might try to get one more outfielder before Friedel if I can get I might get Wallner. Heliot Ramos has for some reason been slipping past ADP lately, so maybe Ramos is available to me. I'm going to go Hunter Green. And I didn't put a ton of thought into that pick, right? That was just like, I have a group of pitchers I like there. For some reason, like Green's ADP is a little bit lower than like Freddie Peralta, Bryce Miller. They tend to last longer. And so because of that, I have more of Peralta and Miller than I do of Green. They're all right there. They're all right there on that pick. So I just figured I'll go Green. Okay, and I'm going here with Joe Ryan. And then let's see. Also, unfortunately, like, what's this guy's got? Alec Bohm. Toglia went at pick 131. This other guy went way ahead of ADP. I wonder if that guy's using my rankings. Are you using my rankings? What are you? NF Alex 14? Maybe. Not sure. Let's see. Okay. That threw off my plans a little bit, though. NF Alex 14. I'm grumpy at you now. So if I don't get Toglia and I don't have Doyle and someone drafted Nolan Jones too. I think it was actually that guy. That same guy drafted Nolan Jones. So the Rocky stack is kind of dead to me. I can only get McMahon. Okay, it's time to make a change. I've got to somehow adjust and get away from Rockies. And let's see. Let me just make this pick. Where are we on pitching? Let's get Woo. So this team has 6 correlated hitters, and I could get McMahon, right? That's a possibility to go with Tavar. But if I want to try and make another stack, that's only 2, right? Only 2 Rockies. So that gives me 8 correlated hitters. So I have to think about what other stack can I get. And so I'm running thin on options on this team. There's one team left that I think stands out to me. I mean, I could go Reds. I'm already building a red stack over here, so that's boring. Let's not do that. So I think I'm going to do Cardinals. And I thought about getting Mason Wynn there, that last pick, and I realized he's almost, well, we'll see. There's a good odds Mason Wynn makes it back to my next pick. His ADP has been going the wrong way because he's been sort of cold in spring, and people overreact to spring training stats. So Mason Wynn, if he makes it back, I'd probably pick him, and he could then start forming the basis of a Cardinals correlation. Let's see. Pick 116 for me. Of course, this is the one where Goldschmidt makes it, right? That's a bummer. Okay. Probably pitcher here for me again because I am short on pitching. Go Bryce Miller if he's available. All right, Bryce Miller. So this team, you will note, has no real correlation so far, right? It has Ellie De La Cruz and Matt McLean, and that's it. But it has a lot of opportunity for future correlation towards the end of the draft. I didn't get Jake Berger, but there's a couple there because I ended up getting Matt McLean. There's a couple of late Rangers, right? There's Jock Peterson, there's Evan Carter, there's Josh Jung. They go with Corey Seager. There's multiple late Reds. There's late Nationals. There's late Mariners. So there's a lot of late stuff that I can build into this team to build some correlation, because right now there's really none. You don't have to find your correlation early, right? You just have to find some correlation. It doesn't have, you can do it later in the draft, you can do it early in the draft. Either way is viable. So we'll see how it plays out, but hopefully I'll be able to get enough correlation on this roster to feel good about it. There's always a little bit of risk, right? When you pass up early correlation that you know you can get to chase after late stuff where you're hoping it falls your way. Sometimes I don't end up with 8 or 9 with 9 or 10 correlated hitters on the roster, right? Sometimes I end up a little bit short of that, and that's just how the breaks go, right? That's how it's going to happen sometimes. Let's see. I've got 4 picks away, 3 picks. Okay, I've got to start queuing guys because this is going to end up. Mason Wynn went. Oh my God, Mason Wynn's been making it past his ADP a lot lately. He got drafted. This NF Alex guy, I think this feels like an OWS sub. He drafted Nolan Jones, Mason Wynn, Michael Toglia, all ahead of ADP. All guys that I like. So it might be an OWS sub. Are you listening, my friend out there? If so, you're annoying me in this draft. But I'm kidding. I hope you have a good draft and a good best ball season. Okay, let's see. What do we do? This is a hard one. I am going to go for my guy. When in doubt, go back to the Reds. I was hoping not to. And here, I'm going to go Matt Wallner, because you saw Matt Wallner was the highest ranked guy I had left. We know I need outfield. As I was tempted just to continue chasing pitching there, because I wouldn't have minded having like Tanner Bibby or Sonny Gray. But Matt Wallner is a guy I have irrational love for. Matt Wallner's his stats at the major league level are absolutely insanely elite. He just needs to not get hurt. Okay, so here we got Friedel. We are looking Reds now, which I know I can get to. Christian Encarnacion-Strand's ADP has been going crazy. I'm not going to take him at pick 170. I have a lot of him to begin with. And secondly, I like him. I think he's a talented hitter with a lot of upside. There's also a lot of downside. He could be in AAA in May, and that would not surprise me as an outcome for Christian Encarnacion-Strand, right? You pick guys like that in the right spot in the draft because their ceiling, the ceiling case is strong enough that it's worth the risk. But what am I looking at? Yeah, I think I'm gonna get fat here. Pitcher. As his ADP climbs, when I first started drafting, I was getting him in the last round. A 20th round pick is very different than getting him at a 15th or 16th round pick. And so, the risk you're taking is different. What you're giving up to get him is different, the opportunity cost. As his ADP has climbed, I still like him as a player. I think he could certainly return value on a pick, 189 or whatever. But it's riskier, right? You're risking more. So I'm happy to have my sort of cheaper shares of him. I'm still trying to get him some here and there where he slips or where I have a red stack that he makes sense on. But I feel like I don't need to chase him in every draft. Let's see, where are we? Pick one. Yeah, look at Volt back making it around to his ADP too. Oh, how annoying. Okay, let's see. Do I take the risk? I think Friedel will make it past this pick. What I'd like to get here is another pitcher since I passed on Bibby last time. I'm not sure it was wise to pass on Bibby. This roster is going to be a pitcher light. You know what I might do? My most common construction is 7-7-6, right? 7 pitchers, 7 infielders, 6 outfielders, because infielders can score more than outfielders. Every once in a while, I will end up building like an 8-6-6 roster with 8 pitchers if I just get started on pitching really late, and I feel like my pitching is more fragile. And this might be that draft. Okay, so this is the draft. Volpe goes past ADP. That's annoying. Would have liked the other one. Who do we take here? I might take Christopher Sanchez. I just don't have, like, I have a lot of Steele and Senga and Kikuchi. And Wu I can wait on. Pavetta's another guy. I just sort of artificially futzed Pavetta's rank up in my own personal rankings, because I realized that I have like none of him, and I just I want to get a little bit. So I moved him up in my rank and like my personal rankings that I used to draft, as to say like, hey, stupid, don't forget about this guy. I also often draft with sorting by ADP instead of sorting by my rankings. I think that's helpful as a way to see different options and see what you think other people are likely to do, who's likely to be taken, who's likely to still be there. I find that to be helpful. Let's see. So 5 picks away. I'm going to pick 149, and I'm going to have pick 164. This is the question. Am I willing to take the risk on Friedel? I have pick 164. His ADP is 166. Do I take the risk on Friedel so I can get another pitcher? Or do I take the risk on a pitcher so I can get more, so I can guarantee myself to get Friedel? Because I can get Friedel here. It's basically like Wu may or may not be there. Pivetta may or may not be there. It's kind of between like those guys and Friedel. Since this roster does not yet have much correlation, like if this roster had more correlated hitters on it, I would probably go pitcher here. Since this roster needs more hitter correlation pretty badly, I'm going to go Friedel to guarantee that I add some. And then back on my Yankees roster here. Okay, we dig up Friedel here. We have 6 pitchers. This is where now I start to think, pick 190. That's where Encarnacion Strand looks a little more reasonable to me. And now I'm up to 8 correlated hitters in this roster. Since after my what I thought was clever Colorado gambit, and then hope to get Cardinals, and they got drafted out from under me. It happens. It's why you can't get locked into like a draft strategy too early, right? You've got to be able to be flexible and take what the draft is giving you, right? Like you've got to be able to adjust. Let's look for where I can find more correlation. At the end here, we know the Braves are really nothing. I'm just not a fan of Brian De La Cruz. Verdugo actually is mildly interesting as a final correlated piece. He should be up soon. Giants, there's nothing there. Rockies, right? Like, I like Thairo Estrada, but he's gone. He's hurt, so nothing there. Yankees, nothing there, right? We're running out of options. So we know if you want more correlation, we're looking at Reds. I also know there's someone in this draft where I'm suspicious there's someone in this draft who's drafting my rankings. And that makes me want to say, give me Gavin Lux before that guy who's drafting with my rankings, or who might be drafting with my rankings, gets at him. Now that's an overdraft of Lux, but we're also getting towards like 17th round pick. And I want to make sure I get him because I need, like, there's not a lot of other correlation left on the board without trying to do like, I could do like try to go for like a Nate Lowe plus Luis Garcia two-person stack, which, viable. You can do that. But I'd like to try not to do that if possible. I'd like to get slightly bigger correlation. Let's see, this roster. What do we have coming back around? Poor Rice Lewis. You got to feel for that guy. Guys cannot stay healthy. It's awful. Okay, so now they got Friedel. If you remember, I was hoping Pavetta or Wu would make it, and they didn't. Mackenzie Gore would have been another pick for me there. Brandon Pfaadt would have another pick for me there. So unfortunately, this is tough. Shoot. What do I do here? I lost all the guys I most wanted. What I need to do is I do need to find some more hitter correlation. I know that. And so I was thinking pitcher this pick, but like all the pitchers I want are gone. I love Woodruff. Bradley's fine. I love Woodruff, but it's a little early to have to get him. I can wait on him. He does not get picked this early. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get Arias because he will pair with Merrill. I needed to get something else. Like this roster is going to end up below, I think, what I like the correlation that I like to achieve on most of my rosters. It's going to end up a little bit below. I'll get able to get a couple pairings. I can get a couple of stacks of 2. So that my total correlation count is like 9. I can probably make that happen, but like it's not quite. I just feel like the overall correlation on that roster kind of fell away from me a little bit. And that's okay. So not every draft is going to fall the exact way you want. So, like I said, both these drafts, this draft started off great, right? Like the Yankees and Braves stuff just fell exactly how I was hoping for. I felt really good about the start of it. Unfortunately, I didn't get Goldschmidt and I didn't get Volpe. And then I got Tovar, but then someone drafted Nolan Jones and Toglia ahead of ADP. So like I had to kind of figure it out. And I feel like I figured it out pretty well, right? I got 3 Reds. I have 3 stacks of 3. I like the correlation I have on this roster. This is where I feel like my earlier plans did not pan out, but I was able to make it work. This draft, I feel like, excuse me, I've struggled to make it work as well. Like it hasn't worked out as well as the other one did, right? I've got 3 Reds and I've got 2 Padres, right? That's it. And just not a lot of, I can add another red, but I've only got 2 more hitter spots left. My pitching is kind of like, right? My pitching is weaker. I probably overdrafted when I didn't need, Abrams or McLean or Wallner. One of those 3 guys probably should have been a pitcher. Probably not McLean, right? Probably Abrams or Wallner because they didn't fit correlation on my roster and I needed pitching. So let's see. Pick 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's get a nice innings eater in Jose Barrios, somebody who just will chew up innings for me. Okay. Over here is where you start to close this draft out. We know, where are we? Oh, there went Victor Robles, damn it. One more pitcher. We're going to grab Bowden Francis on the Blue Jays. That'll finish my pitching. I was kind of hoping to get Victor Robles. So later, like outfielders I like is like the finish outfield that I think are just sort of fine, like not correlated, but just last guys in. Robles, Parker Meadows, Wilyer Abreu, and the Cardinals. Although Burleson, I think, is the most at risk for playing time of the Cardinals, but he's one of the better hitters. And then like those are the guys I like to sort of finish my outfield with. If I'm not thinking correlation, I'm just thinking like I just need one last hitter here. I'm totally comfortable finishing my outfield with one of those guys. So let's see. I don't have a lot of Burleson, so let's just go Burleson for this one. Any of those guys would have been fine though. That's my last outfield pick. Okay. See, there goes Encarnacion. I was kind of like, I didn't want to overdraft Encarnacion straight on this roster, even though it's a red stack. I have 3 Reds already, I also have a lot of red stacks with Encarnacion Strand, so I'm kind of okay letting him go by a few times on red stacks. So I have some that don't have him because there's a decent chance he's in AAA right soon. Like he could be awesome, he could be terrible, and anyone who tells you they know is fooling themselves and trying to fool you. So, I'm not going to try and I will try to be always honest and say that there are, ranges of outcomes for these players, and I don't know where they're going to fall in the ranges of outcomes. No one does. And, we pick them, we hope for the best, but we can't tell where these guys are going to fall in their range of outcomes, right? I think we know that Encarnacion Strand's upside is, a 30 home run, 100 RBI, middle of the order bat. But his downside is not in the major leagues. So which will it be? I don't know. That's why I think it makes sense to get him when he's cheap. Okay, let's see. Coming up here, I am just not super happy with how this draft played out overall. Like, I'm happy with getting, Albies there. Happy that McClay made it to his current ADP because his ADP today is actually going to be lower than that. Other than that, though, like, this draft just got away from me. Okay, I'm going to probably get Robles. Might be a little early. But he would stack with Arozarena. So I pick 187. And then infield, do I have, let's see, is Nate Lowe's still there. So I think I'll get Nate Lowe this pick if I can. And then I'll get, hopefully, Robles' next pick. And that will give me at least some other pairings. It won't be the best correlator roster I've ever built, but it will at least give me some pairings. Now, the other option said Nate Lowe. You know what? Or we go all in on the Reds and get Candelario or Lux. I'm going to do that. I'm going to go all in on the Reds on this roster, actually, now that I think about it further. Which means that what I can afford to do now is draft a pitcher here, planning to get Robles next pick and Lux the pick after that. So this will get me... I just need innings. It's either Keller or Woodruff. Let's go Keller because I just don't have very much of him, and I have a lot of Woodruff. Woodruff, I think, is going to throw fewer innings than Keller, and so I think he fits a little better on a more robust pitching staff. Woodruff is probably going to start the season either on the injured list or just not, or with a very limited pitch count, and so like I think that he's not likely to contribute early in the season, right? So he's not likely to give you spike week scores until a little bit farther on in the year. And so a team that's already kind of fragile at pitching, it's just hard to eat that. I think I've been thinking about this. I am just going to keep my normal 13 hitter allocation. You start 7 hitters a week on underdog format. You start 7 hitters, it's really tough to only have 12 hitters total. So we're going to get, hopefully, Robles here and then Lux. And then 2 more pitchers. And the thing with pitchers is, like, I can always find more pitchers that I'm willing to take shots on. So I'm willing to play kind of fast and loose with late round pitchers, and just there's so many of them out there. Okay, the pick that finishes this draft is an infielder. Let's see. Hang on, let me bounce back here. Let's just get Robles. Infielder. I could pair someone with Burleson, maybe? No, even Nolan Arenado's gone. That's gross. Okay, Candelario it is. Third, we add another red. This was not meant to be a red stack, but you'll see is there's actually I ended up 4 reds in this lineup, and it was kind of just a late pivot, right? Because like the Colorado Rockies stack got stolen a little bit. The St. Louis stack never materialized. Where I was hoping to get Wynn, he ended up Mason Wynn. He got drafted well ahead of ADP, and so that never materialized. And so I was able to pivot late to Friedel, Encarnacion Strand, Lux, Candelario, and get a nice stack of 4 Reds hitters. So I'm missing Ellie De La Cruz and McLean. Of course, they're 2 best hitters, but some hopefully some good late round production available from the red stack to complete that lineup. So this roster, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I feel like this roster, I did pretty well adjusting to what the draft was throwing at me. I ended up with a stack of 3 Yankees, a stack of 3 Braves, and a stack of 4 Reds. So I got my 10 correlated hitters. Happy with that. Okay. What do we do with this one? This is the tougher one. So I'm hoping to I'm drafting Lux ahead of ADP, which I'm fine with. Again, if I wasn't putting out rankings, I would probably let Lux slip farther because I've never seen anyone else draft Lux. But because I've been talking him up and have him out there in rankings, I don't want him to get away from me, and I'm willing to invest, a late round pick because again, there's just not that much difference between the pitchers available this late. So I feel like I'm totally fine paying up for Lux here a little bit. And that will give me so this team would then have 4 Reds, 2 Mariners, and 2 Padres. Not my finest stacking situation. Again, sometimes it plays out that way. Sometimes you think things early in the draft and just play out differently. Like I thought with Corey Seager, I might end up going for like Berger or going for the outfielders like Peterson, might get Semien. It just didn't play out that way, right? Like I knew that Albies was going to be a solo guy. With Abrams, I thought McLean was going to be gone because McLean's ADP like in the last few days has been lower than 92. So I thought McLean would be gone. He wasn't, and I was like, okay, I got to get McLean because he fits on red stack. If I'd known I would have gotten McLean to pick 92, I probably wouldn't have taken Abrams there. Wallner was probably a mistake pick. I love Matt Wallner. I absolutely think he's an amazing hitter when he's healthy. It's more so that with as many hitters as I had, what I needed there was a pitcher, and like this roster, and also there was no way I was getting more twins really. So he was just going to be a naked sort of uncorrelated underdog. Wallner was going to be a naked uncorrelated pick no matter what I did. So in that case, it's like, see, like we don't recognize that. Yes, you do. I'll show you guys my password. What the hell? What are you doing, underdog? Okay, that's delightful. I've been locked out because I failed to hang on, guys. This is charming. Give me just a minute. I'm trying to reset my underdog password right now. Where is... This is where you get to see the fact that I don't know how to edit videos, because if I was good at editing videos, like say our friend at OWS Cheeseman, then I would just edit this part out. But I have no idea how to do that. So, you just get it live. Ta-da! Okay, now I have to find which draft it is because, see, I have all these. These are all slow drafts. Oh God. I don't know how to get to see my actual draft I'm in. It's one of these, right? It's gonna be one of these dingers here, but I don't know which one it is because it just says how many picks away. This is deeply annoying. Well, tell you what. what we're going to do, I hopefully will be able to spot. I'll keep looking at when it comes up. I'm just going to do some slow drafts in the meantime and get caught up here. Mets, Houston Yankees. So I'm just seeing where I'm at here. Where do you go? Gleyber, Torres. There we go. There it is. Okay. We're back. And I got Gavin Lux because I had him queued. It's also why it's a good. The queue feature is super, super useful. Yeah, the queuing feature is super useful in case you have something like that happen. I don't always use it, but I should use it more than I do. So anyway, all we need in this draft is 2 more pitchers. Well, now 1 more pitcher. So I got Bowden Francis, who is, he's sort of solid mid to back end rotation arm for the Blue Jays. And then we're looking for someone, one last pitcher. Let's see who we get. I will hop over into these slow drafts while we're waiting for that draft to come around. This draft has 9 hitters, 3 pitchers. One of my rare premium pitcher drafts with Cole Reagans. The correlation is all so far with Arizona. Let's see. Gleyber, Torres, I like to look by ADP too, just to see where I'm at in the draft. I'm going to go Nick Pivetta because that's a guy. Remember I said I bumped him up my personal rankings just to be like, hey, draft some of this guy. So that's me doing exactly that. It's me following my own guidance of drafting some of this guy. Let's see. Here, I'm going to get Mackenzie Gore, who I have very little of. That roster needed a pitcher. This roster is 666. Oh dear. The roster of the beast. See another red stack in Atlanta. What we have Reds Atlanta. And then we want to get an infielder. Let's go with Jake Cronenworth to go with Fernando Tatis. This roster is also almost done. It needs an outfielder and a pitcher. Let's look at outfield. Let's see. You can see, again, Reds. I have a lot of red stacks. Wow, this roster is not correlated. That's what happened. What happened to this roster? This is a disaster. From a correlation standpoint, this roster is awful. Well, sometimes I suck, apparently. You got to see people when they suck sometimes too, right? No one does it right every time. Or at least that's what I will keep telling myself to excuse my failure. Let's go Brandon Marsh because I have Harper. Gives me something. That kind of situation, I'm often just like, okay, what correlates at all? Let's see. This roster has some solid early innings, and so I feel good about it. So this is a roster where Woodruff fits well. Philly, Atlanta, Houston, Dodgers, Seattle. Okay. Not a lot of correlation yet on this roster. Some of these slow drafts, I think I ended up in this weird spot this week where I was super busy during the days and most of the week. And so I just kind of I wasn't able to take as much time with my slow drafts as I usually do. So I ended up kind of going through them a little quicker than I probably should have. Okay, so let's go Grant Holmes, who is going to lock down a spot in the Atlanta rotation, who actually was more like a bit of a breakout last year for Grant Holmes. So he is a fine last round flyer. And I think I've done an okay job salvaging this after some correlation spots kind of slipped away from me. Only 8 correlated hitters in this roster, right? 4 Braves, 2 Padres, 2 Mariners, but I think it's okay. It's not my finest roster I've ever built. But, they're not all going to be awesome, right? Not every roster you build is going to have the draft fall exactly the way you want. And I guess it's good to see some where they don't kind of play out. So, okay. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Appreciate you. I hope this wasn't too long by doing kind of two overlapping like that. But I will see you next time.
1 week season.